we have Justin Coleman. I haven't met you in person, my man, but we are here to talk about the off the court hot topics of today. You know, keeping you updated on everything that's happening. Whenever you guys get a chance, check out our sponsors at Hound Dog. And also, my man Billy Ratliff's having a B-Day bash up at Catfish Cabin, right, Justin?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
it.
perfect. So, yeah, man. But how you been, Justin? How's it?
Because there's about 10 Colemans that played at Tennessee that played football there. You had
Yeah.
Jesse, and
Hey,
I'm the Jeff. Yeah, Cozy, Reggie, Jeff, Justin. There were a bunch of them, so it's hard to keep up with them. So
word.
I'm
That's
the
what's
Jeff.
up.
I'm the OG Coleman of that whole Coleman clan.
I see you.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you having me on VFL in the lane, man. It's one of my favorite things to watch. I know I participated. I'm looking forward to just any kind of platform so we can sit and talk about football, talk about what's going on in life, catch up with another Vol brother. I appreciate it, man. So anytime. So I appreciate.
Yeah, it's family. It's family, man, and there's a lot going on. I can tell you that. I've had a crazy year, and I'm gonna go more into detail. But I want to ask you, man, just as a Vol, have you been back lately? Have you kept up with the football team? I know Form is doing big things. Is that something, it goes up and down in the football, just as in basketball, but hey, I'm a huge fan. So
Yeah.
let me
So just as far as me being and I touch on it, I thought VFL actually before it became a thing, it was a thing with me and for us and our generation of players. I came out in 98 was my last season, so we always come back I try to get back every year. I always try to come back to one game, try to get to homecoming, try to come back in the spring. And I have a bunch of friends like Billy that's still there. So I stay connected to Knoxville. I mean, that was, that's I tell people I was born in South Carolina, but I grew up in Knoxville. That's
mm,
still, part of my home. And I go back there at least a couple times a year. And I stay connected with the program. I still talk to Coach Former. It's crazy. When I was playing, we know that player coach relationship. I couldn't imagine 20 something years later I'd still be talking to him, but we have kept this connection over time, along with Coach Brooks and other coaches that I had there, to where we talk about life, we talk about family, and things have evolved, the conversation. So I have that connection with the program. It's family. It's not like the program to me. It's
yeah,
family.
yeah. What year were you there? What were some of the players that were on your team?
My senior year was we won the national championship. So
Oh shit, I feel so stupid, man.
I started defensive tackle on that team. Me and Billy played together. We had Sean on that defensive line. We had Sean Ellis, Darwin Walker, Corey Terry. Some of the young bulls like D'Angelo Lloyd, Will Overstreet. We had we had a good mix on that team of veterans, some guys that have been there for a couple of years, and those young guys, man. And we had that freshman and sophomore class from that team was really what put us over the top, I think. So we had a good mix of guys, and those are people that I still deal with and talk with throughout this through my life. So yeah, that was my era there. So 98 was my last year.
I gotta give you the credit, man, because to be honest, when I was a kid, like it was lady balls for sure, but
Oh yeah,
all football. It was football all day, man, in my house. Like,
it's,
were you on the team? What's his name, Adrian? Or were you on the team with Peyton Manning? You weren't
yeah,
on the
that's
team.
my classmate. I met Peyton. We were in the 11th grade. I actually met him. Funny story about that. I met him in the 11th grade. We were at Florida State on a recruiting trip. So, and I give him hell about this because I had better seats than him. I'm sitting in front of him. I'm like 2 rows in front of him. So the recruiting coordinator says, we were talking, and he's like, you want to meet Peyton? I look back, it's Archie, Peyton, Eli, Cooper. It's like the whole family. And I was like, nah, I don't want to meet Peyton. I want to meet Archie. I want to talk to him. So that was the thing. So we always joke about that. He joked about me having my Florida State gear on. I joke about having better seats than he did at the at the game. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that was my classmate, and we definitely had a good class of people
Did
to come.
Peyton go to class?
Huh?
Did he go to class? Was he
He
there?
graduated in 3 years, man. Three and
Oh,
a half years. Peyton was, and whenever you see that about him, like how he is about football with the books and everything, he was like that about class. He was And the thing, you see him funny now. He joked a lot, and people didn't know that about him because he was so businesslike. But man, Peyton, he could have. I think it was 3.5. He probably could have graduated in 3. He was that smart, and he was that dedicated, and he was so regimented about what he did. When we were out, he was the one that could. We all went out and had a good time, but we slept in. He's back at it, and there's a reason why he became what he became, and that's the difference between good to great and great to iconic people to be able to do what he does.
That's crazy. Off the court as well, man. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. So I did want to talk to you. I kind of got this mask on. I know there's a lot going on in the world, and I just had to evacuate Oregon, so I kind of had a bet with my brother that I was gonna wear my mask just as a raise awareness day.
I like the optics, and I was going to go get mine. I like the optics of that. I can understand you clearly, and that's good that you have it on. And I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm glad you have it on. The optics of it, and a reminder for people.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And not to sound selfish, but check out StokesSuperfoods.com. We're giving out free masks with every CBD purchase. But hey, I also alongside, we just had 9/11. We got these fires in Oregon, and it's just weird times. But we turn on the TV and we watched the first football game? Did you watch that?
Yeah. So you definitely mentioned a couple of things you just touched on, and you walked me right into my conversation. You mentioned 9/11, and of course, if we could just do one thing really quickly, I don't want to interrupt the flow of the show, but I think it's important that we have a brief moment of silence for 9/11 and just acknowledge what happened on that day. And if we could just have and let's do the 11-second and just have a 11-second moment of silence for that. Then I want to get into something about that as when we come back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you. So with that, and remembering what happened, there is a lot going on in the world. We always have a lot going on, but sometimes more than others. And we as a country, we persevere and we get through it. And one thing that happened after 9/11, and we were talking about a little bit about it off camera. That was the moment in my entire lifetime to where I felt like in the aftermath of that, to where we were the most united as a people, as a country. It wasn't about black, white, rich, poor. There wasn't really any of that going on. We just had a common thing that happened to all of us, and it brought us all together. And it lasted for a while, but then as life happens, we kind of slip back into some of the old ways. And just because it happened days within each other, we could see, just you mentioned Thursday night, the Kansas City versus Houston, the NFL kickoff. Yep. And what was supposed to be a display of unity, it wasn't. I had someone, on Facebook tell me it was a political display. People are tired of that, but it was a display of unity. That wasn't political. That wasn't about. It didn't mention anyone. It was about us coming together, and people booed that. And this was like the day before 9/11 when we've been the most united. So let's if we can talk about that a little bit and just get some conversation around that. How can you have such a stark contrast of where doing something to unite people, it gets booed in a football game? I'm still struggling to understand how do you
think is the fear behind that? I mean, it's sports. I can see a fan, come into. I want to see some sport. I want to see people kill each other. That's my highlight. And now I got to watch a freaking Lifetime drama or something. Why do you think they got such a bad reaction?
Well, I can pull it together. I can't speak for them. I'm gonna give you some of the comments that people gave me when I asked that question, and they said that people are tired of, and they mentioned the politics of it. They just wanted to come and see a sporting event or a football game. Okay, and my counter to that was because we have you play the national anthem before the game. That doesn't have anything to do with sports. It's political. I'm okay with that, and everybody else is okay with that. We have salute to the troops, not anything sports related, and we should salute our troops, and that's a venue to do that because it's an important topic. You have people's attention, you have their ear, do it. You have breast cancer awareness. That's an important cause in which they have a litany of causes that they talk about during the NFL. They have different months, different weeks. They talk about all these different topics No one's doing breast cancer awareness, which you shouldn't. Nobody's doing the salute the troops. You shouldn't. This was another thing. It was unity. It wasn't someone, no one was like, that's a whole nother topic. You know, when people take a knee, that was an issue. People do other things, that's an issue. This is a thing for unity, and you booed that shit. I still, it sounds ridiculous when you say it. They booed a display of unity. It just, they're uncomfortable talking and saying the topic. That's my takeaway for that is people are just uncomfortable with you putting that in their face, and they don't want to talk about it. They
You
don't.
have to also remember a lot of people use sports as a distraction to get away from this deep shit that's going on in the world. So they turn there and it's like, wow, I just can't get away. It's like, wow, you go to ESPN, like a lot of people turn from ESPN because they had a lot of the
Yeah.
like gay lives matter stuff and a lot of Black lives matter. It's like just can't get away. So that makes a ton of sense. I'm wondering though, like, do you feel as if there may be like a better way to do it? Because I mean, I'm on the side. I think unity is important. I'm a huge advocate, and I think they were right for doing so. But I consider both perspectives though.
Do I think there's a so they want, and this is my perception of what I see. They want people just to shut up and dribble, shut up and play. I just want you to entertain me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think those days are over. So in order to have that happen, the people who are giving them that entertainment have to be okay with, I'm not going to speak my truth or my mind or give you my opinion. I'm just going to play and entertain you. And I think those days are over with. They have an open forum. They have your attention, have your ears, have your eyes to bring light to a particular topic. I understand it's a distract. It's a distract. The distraction that lasted, the display of unity lasted a couple minutes. That football game lasted 3 hours. That's 3 hours of a distraction. And if you can't take a couple minutes to acknowledge an issue that's going on and then be entertained for 3 hours, I'm not sure you wanted to have that information ever anyway. So no, I don't really see that perspective. I respect anybody's opinion on it. And my thing, when I don't want to see something, I just don't tune in. I tune it out. So you have that option, but you want to have your cake and eat it too. I don't want to hear what you have to say about issues, but I just want you to entertain me. So, but they're going to keep putting it in your face. So you're going to have to make a decision at some point because it's jerseys, it's on the back of the helmet, or you like, what are you going to do? So you have to make a choice at some point.
And 1,000%. It's going on. It's definitely happening. I remember. I mean, people forget about sports in history and the true sports in history. We talk about Jackie Robinson. You can go back to the Olympics when the guy put the fist pose up. I mean, it's all. I guess what I'm trying to say is this is an outlet that has always made change. It's always been a bit conflicting to see blacks and whites on the same teams until it's time for us to win. So let's make it happen. And then next thing you know, this happens. So I used to be on the bris. I used to think at first I was all for sports. Then I went through this conspiracy era where I thought sports was kind of this huge distraction that politicians use to control the masses and the mindsets, getting them away from what actually matters in the world. And now I'm seeing like I'm a producer on this film with Silk Cozart. He's from Knoxville. He created a film called Ball of Confusion. Um, it's basically the history of basketball and Dr. James Naismith, his whole upbringing. And with that in mind, it's really, really taught me that racial wellness, that's probably the biggest thing that people gain from sports is
I'll say sports is a microcosm for life, because you mentioned the Jackie Robinson situation. If you watch how he's integrating baseball and how, parallel that with what was going on in real life. And you talk about in basketball in the locker room, you'll never see even in football, a locker room, a more integrated, a place to where people are different, but people understand each other and people learn how to not just coexist with each other, but learn how to thrive with each other in the football, in a locker room. You have people from not just all parts of the country, but people from the city, people that are from a farmland, from the rural lands, all these different people, and you just throw them in a locker room. and you're on top of each other every day. You're with each other in your face every day. And if you don't learn how to deal with each other, you're not going to be able to function. So that's what sports does. And it brings light to certain things, and it shows people what you can do when you come together. So I don't think it's a distraction per se. I understand what you're saying, because that was the thing with the NBA when they were coming back. Some of the players they were hesitant about playing because they said there's other things going on we need to focus on. We don't want this to be a distraction. But instead of making it a distraction, use it as a tool to further the cause of what else is going on. You can't look, if you're gonna watch the game, you're gonna see the court and see what it says. It says Black Lives Matter. And as long it's not going to solve anything by doing that, but it keeps the conversation at the forefront for everybody who's talking. And it all gets back to just making people are uncomfortable talking about it and dealing with it. Just the whole situation of race and racism and just racial relationships. And that people are uncomfortable dealing with it. You got to get over that before you actually move forward. But
I mean, we're also attached to all these labels too. Like I have a hard, like I'm all for my people, but I have a hard time just fully putting anything, even saying Black Lives Matter, even though I know Black Lives Matter. I live and die for it. Because I mean, we have these leaders like a guy in Chad who's just so happened to, Trump just called him the leader of Black Lives Matter, the guy in Chad. That was like a month ago. And next thing you know, we see that he's surrounded by we have the issue that just happened, what you call it? It just left me. But I pretty much think that racial wellness is probably the biggest gain someone can get from sports. I mean, it kind of normalizes Black Lives Matter, but I'm in a position where it's like that whole label of Black Lives Matter is like the Democrats. It's like it all goes in this umbrella.
Well, let me say something. So take away the movement itself, and I'm just talking about the words. And it's like, and again, until you because if you don't say it, some people don't even think it's a thing. You have people that don't even believe, and it's not like, again, I go through this all the time. It's not like Black lives are the only thing that matter. Black lives matter more. It's just Black lives matter too. And you have to remind people that sometimes, because when some people say it, well, and I tell people to act like it then. Just make sure that you act like that's a real thing, so people have to stop reminding you of it. So I'm not
avoid that label though.
The movement itself, the organization. I'm talking about the actual words and what it means to you and me and everybody else.
Mm-hmm. So how do you avoid that label though? It's like if you put Black Lives Matter on your profile, I guarantee you're going to get some Trump fans.
I'm trying to avoid it. I want it needs to be in people's faces until you have to stop saying, until it's not even something that you need to do anymore, because the conversation still needs to be had, and there needs to be action behind the conversation in a much bigger way than a protest, there's legislation that needs to be attached to this. There's certain because my whole thing is you can't change someone's heart. A racist heart you can't change, but you can change legislation and laws to take away the power from people being able to discriminate, for people being able to weaponize their racism. If somebody wants to be racist and that's their heart, okay, but you're not going to be able to weaponize it. You shouldn't be able to have something that you can go use that and discriminate against somebody with. That's my thing. It needs to be to certain legislation.
Okay, makes sense, man. Are you voting?
Am I voting?
Yeah.
In every election since I turned 18, both local and national. I've never missed an election.
Wow. Jeez, that's crazy.
I do voter registration. I volunteer the drives to help people get there. So I think it's important to let your voice be heard. Whatever your voice is, it's important for us as a democracy and as a republic that everybody lets their voice be heard. Whatever.
Yeah, I said, which way are you leaning?
Who am I voting for?
Yeah.
Voted for Joe Biden.
Okay. Did you vote for Hillary last time?
I did.
Okay. All right. What is it that you because me personally, I'm just get my perspective. I personally don't think voting is as important. I think we're all just jumping into the system. I understand the ancestors. Like I could be a historian, and please, correct me, offend me if I'm wrong, because this is for the audience, not me. But I personally think that both candidates don't fit the profile.
So I'll say one general thing, and then I'll get into specifics about it. You said you don't think so. What's the reason you don't think it's important to vote? Because the candidates are bad.
Yeah, I think we're playing a side where we're picking the lesser of two evils. And I don't want to put my name on an evil ballot. I mean, I'm just being as honest as I can be. But if I had to choose, I would choose Biden. I got to be honest with you as well, Joe. I voted for Trump last election because Hillary and all the shit that came out about WikiLeaks.
So WikiLeaks turned you, but the videos of him. So the long litany of. So here's what I'm gonna go say about this: Democrats want perfect candidates, and people will vote for the other side, whichever that is, just because they're okay. So all the stuff that he did in the WikiLeaks stuff is, if you look at that right now, it turned out to not be completely factual. So I don't make myself be a one issue candidate person because for that very reason, right? That one, I'm not going to vote or not vote for somebody just because of one thing. So all the list of things that he didn't turn you, but the WikiLeaks turned you.
Oh no, no, no! Don't get me wrong. Now I voted for the lesser of two evils. That was my whole thing, and that
And
literally,
you consider him to be the lesser of the two evils between Hillary. So if you look at somebody who was actually able to govern, I'm looking at their job performance. Forget their personality for a reason. Get their what they believe in and all their isms that may come with them. But looking at somebody who had experience, that knew how to govern, that understood government, that actually understood politics as a whole and how it actually works, and someone who's not looking to. My thing was, and I get what you're saying to a certain degree, and it's like one of those things to where that does this person love me? No, but does this person hate me, or does this person just tolerate me? I felt like one side was actively looking to be a divisive issue, and it came out in everything that they said, and that's important to me. Policies are one thing, and when you have Congress, there's a lot of stuff that you can get blocked and can't get done. But what are you doing to inspire what everybody else does and thinks? If you look since 2016, domestic terrorism is up, the discrimination is up, all the things that you would say are going in the wrong direction. If Hillary had been elected, maybe she would have been a bad president, but you're not going to have all these social things that would have shifted in that direction. You can fix bad policies. It takes longer to fix all the other stuff that's going on with that. So when I'm sitting down making decisions about who am I going to vote for, I remember in 2016, after the election, little black kids are thinking that because somebody told them this, that slavery is going to be reinstated. This was actual conversation. This isn't something that was made up. That inspires a certain thing. You go back 4 years before that, that inspired little black kids and minorities and everybody else when President Obama was elected, so that they can be something greater. When you 4 years later, it's the exact opposite. It was doom and gloom. So there's more to just one issue when you're talking about voting for somebody. And there's enough with this guy to say that was like, this is a deal breaker for me. He had about 100 deal breakers. So I respect whoever you voted for, but do I understand that?
No, I regret it, man. It hunts me. It hunts my sleep. Terrible decision.
You have a chance to fix it. So that's you have people we all make either it's a mistake. I won't even call it a mistake. You learn in life. You do certain things that if it opens up your eyes to other topics, you learn. You have a chance to fix it. You never in life have something to where as long as you still breathe.
Yeah, for sure. What if I bring up like of course we can go on and on about Trump, but all right, Biden, his son first of all has this face technology he just sold to China, or he just got from China for 1.5 billion, which is weirdly, in identity to some of the conspiracies that Trump, you got to look into Biden's son. And then number two, doesn't it kind of seem weird that the Democrats were the ones fighting against slavery, and that what's his name? Biden has said and been connected with the KKK in the past. You see what we got to vote for?
No, but hold on. If you say that, I want you to dig it. I want you to I've seen that picture that you're talking about with
Yeah,
the guy. The guy wasn't a Grand Wizard. He was, when you say connected with him, you have to, if you're gonna throw that out there, you need to say how he was connected with him.
yeah.
That was a photo op in the picture. That same person, President Obama, actually spoke, if I'm not mistaken, gave his eulogy at his funeral. So he was connected with the KKK in the 70s, but look at what he did from the 80s on. We have to also talk about that guy, how he denounced the KKK and how he worked to reform, like to bring people together after he denounced the KKK. So it's a little bit dangerous to throw stuff out there like that,
Yeah.
but you got to throw the context behind it. Yeah, that guy he wasn't a great wizard, but he denounced the KKK, left them, and did work after that. That's when Biden was connected with.
Okay. So you totally believe that, as well as, the China situation, and with
I don't totally believe anything. No, I don't I question everything. And the reason why I can give you the details about that particular issue is because I do question it. People give me scenarios and examples. A lot of times I'm not quick to respond, and people like, because we want to respond so quick. I'm like, no, I need to look into it. I need to research that. And when you take the time to do that and make yourself informed, because it's so easy because of social media. We live with buzzwords, buzz phrases, posts, and 144 characters, to where there's context behind everything. There's things that you can't just summarize a situation in a couple words like that, because there's something behind it. And if you're going to put part of it out there, you need to put the whole story out there. I'm speaking in general, not just you. I'm just saying, when you give stuff like that, because people it starts to live in perpetuity. It just keeps going on. People believe it and they give it to somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. On top of that, do you believe that your vote matters, being that most of it is electoral, and
Yeah,
they're
I'll ask you a question. Yeah.
Republican forever?
Yes, my vote matters, because if you look at the electoral, first of all, I think the electoral college needs to be done away with. The reason why we have it was because at the time they didn't feel people were educated enough in certain areas to where they could vote themselves. They had to vote to give other people power to vote for them. We don't need that anymore. But with the rules, the way we have it, the system right now, and I'll just simply say this: if your vote did not matter, there wouldn't be people trying so hard to suppress your vote. There's people actively trying to stop you from mail-in voting. They have with the voter IDs. There's 100 ways they keep trying to suppress your vote. Would they be doing that if your vote didn't matter? If your vote didn't matter, why would they be doing all of these things to suppress it? So yes, your vote does count and it matters.
That's strong, man. I might go vote after this. I lost faith. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I will say that I know what I say about I know my grandmother, all my grandparents, my mom, and everybody else. I think I say, if I didn't vote, what would my grandmother think about that?
Yeah.
And I know what my grandmother would think about it, because she told me, and I know she told me why she felt that way. So that was just it for me. I mean, just for all I'm active, and I understand policy and how things work and why things work. You're voting for people that, well, voting for presidents don't count, but they appoint justices and things that make decisions that actively impact what you do every day. So yeah, it does count, and it's gonna always be that way for me. My daughter, she's in college right now. First time the first time she could vote, she voted. I took her with me to go vote in the, forget which election it was, and she appreciates the process and how it is now. So that's why I had to get her when she was young. So yeah, if somebody's trying to stop me from doing something so hard, I know there's something behind it. So yeah.
Okay, that's strong, man. Well, I may go do it, man. It's glad to see someone in sports and politics and seeing how important it is. But then again, I'm kind of in that phase where I'm like I don't know. I compare it to a monk or something. You feel like you're not even a part of the whole system. Like, I'm not even American. Fuck yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's literally the mindset, because well, just to give you a little bit of spiritual background. I don't know if we should be having that on the show, but I believe in the Bible. I'm not exactly religious, but I can quote a lot. Like, I read every day, and I understand it from head to toe. So I don't have that preacher, I never had that person teach me. I understand from, what I see, and from my perspective, uh, we've been asked as a set apart one not to even partake in this whole system that is doing so much wrong. I see that it didn't say don't go vote now. So I'm not trying to twist these words into, that's just how I kind of conceptualize it. And I kind of felt like I was doing right. I don't know how deep you go into the whole conspiracy thing with, America, but this thing doesn't look as pleasant as I thought growing up. You pull up some historical facts, things come out, and it's ugly. So I'm not even sure if I want to be a part of the American system.
So
Even I,
and that's a valid topic, but I do know one thing, that you can't fix the system from outside of it. But if you don't want to be a part of it, that's not a consideration. But you can't fix a system by standing there looking at it and saying I'm not a part of it. The one thing you have to do is with the machine, of course, and that's one of the things about this. I'm critical of things that happen in this country, but not because I hate it, but because I love it. It's just like your family. You don't sit there and let your family do something that isn't beneficial for everybody. You ask them to do better because you want us all to be better. And it's like for me, I'm American as hell. I'm American. I'm a part of this country. My ancestors helped build this. Because people have told me, if you don't like it, leave. I'm not going anywhere because my people helped build this. This is as much mine as it is yours or anybody else's. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay here, and I try to do my part to help make it right. I can sit here and I do criticize it. I criticize it often, but I also put some action behind. All right, if I'm criticizing, what can we do to make it better? I try to take actions to help do something to correct what I say I think is wrong. So no. The conspiracy of it, man, it's a lot of what you hear is true. I mean, it's not even a conspiracy, it's real. But now there are some outlandish things out there. I said I always, but just please, make sure you look at that and see if it's actually true or not. But I am American, and I want to get this thing right. So
I guess my biggest thing is the label. Like, going back to that point, it's like I don't want to be labeled a Democrat. I don't want to be labeled, American fighting the Middle East. I don't like that. Was who we were fighting. It matters to me because they are have brown skin.
Let me ask you, what's wrong with label? What is your personal issue with some of the labels? Because I know your name is Jarnell Stokes. You have a label yourself. We all have labels. We have certain things. You're a basketball player. There's certain things that you are. So
it's like a bittersweet relationship. It's like even Christianity. It's like I can control my brand. I can't, like Christianity. It's like I grow up a Christian, and then I learn, some of the holidays are made up and pagan. You know what I'm saying? Santa Claus isn't real, isn't in the Bible anywhere, but he's supposed to be a holiday. You know what I'm saying?
So you touched on one thing a minute ago where you said, I think there was something in the Bible where it said about not voting. And that's the interpretation of people. And 10 different people can read the same verse and get 10 different things out of it. So, and it may be right where it says not to participate in that, but I've had this conversation with people when they say things, simple things like, the Bible is against people being gay. So, but there's 100, like there's a lot, not even 100, or more than, like, about not eating shrimp, about not wearing certain blended fabric, about not doing all this other stuff that people do right now, but they pick and choose pieces of it that to fit whatever narrative they're trying to convey at that point. They'll pull that out. But what about this whole laundry list of things it also says to not do? How do you reconcile that? How do you deal with that? Or just pull out certain things? Because there's a lot of stuff, like if you really read it, there's nothing you can do.
You
can't do anything but sit there.
On my head right now. So yeah, you're right on, my man. I mean, that's strong, man. That's one of them things you just take up with God. I mean, he made it that way, so it's like I can't.
That's a very important thing you said. People have to figure out what's best for them. Like how you deal with religion. Now, and I agree with you. I wanted to hear your take on it with some of the labels. like with religion and Christianity. Like I'm spiritual. I'm spiritual. I grew up in a religious household, a Christian household. But when you grow up and you start having your own thoughts and opinions, you take what I can tell you what I took my base, what I've learned, and how I best reconcile how I live every day, and take those principles and the things that I know and what I believe and what I do, and I do what's best for me and do what's best for me. And no one else can judge me for that. No one else can knock me for that. Just like you, however you think and believe, that's what works best for Jarnell, and that's what how you live your life, and that's what works best for you. And nobody can really knock you for that, you know. Just and that's what everybody has. You have to. Everyone has to do what's best for them, as long as it's not negatively impacting somebody else. You're good.
So yeah, man, I really might go vote though, seriously. And if I do go vote,
Let's talk offline, man. So I don't want to just, but let's have a conversation. I really want to catch up with you off that, just to talk, man. I'm not to try to get you to vote for anybody or anything, just to talk about that process as a whole. And I really want to hear more just about what you have to say and your opinion. I don't want to come off as dismissive of what you were saying. I didn't want that to be the case at all. I just feel I'm really passionate about executing your constitutional right, your to let your voice be heard. So I don't want to come across as somebody that was, being condescending or just pushing an issue or something like that. I really want to hear more about, what you have and, some of the issues you have and talk through some of that, not to try to get you to vote for anybody or whatever. I just want to, just to chop it up a little bit more about that.
there's a conspiracy out there, and it connects with the Bible. That is, and here I am with my conspiracies. I know the production in the background, like, oh, here he goes again. But seriously, there's something out there in which it's supposed to action between the vaccines, the chips, the facial technology, blockchain, and also in a line with taking away the Second Amendment, which takes away a bit of our power. Now,
Who's taking away the Second Amendment?
I'm not saying anyone's taking it away. I've heard some things
It's not true. They've been saying that for like 30 years now, and nobody's because an amendment. So just to look at the Second Amendment, which means that there was something before that wasn't actually the case. They amended it to say something else. So it's not absolute. It's not like it's always been exactly that way. It's people have been talking about they'll take, and that's fear mongering right there for me. I'm sorry. No one wants to take away the Second Amendment rights. The Second Amendment rights. It's changing it to fit 2020 because certain things that were the reason why you needed a musket in 1860. There's a certain language that should be written around, and it takes you 5 minutes to load up a musket and shoot it. Now you have a semi-automatic or automatic weapon that does one thing. There should be the same set of rules for a musket and an assault rifle. Do you agree with that?
I agree.
Okay, so that's all people are asking you to look at that and tweak and adjust that piece.
Okay.
That's what people are asking to do is how you're dealing with this musket rifle and how you're dealing with this assault rifle.
Okay. So I would say this: there's a social credit system in China right now. To this day, they literally can grade people based on their cameras freaking everywhere. I was there for 3 years. I've been in every city there, and literally you have to pass all these checkpoints, and your credit score pops up on the guard. So with that being said, I'm a bit nervous about Joe Biden's son's latest move with buying that technology and how there is a huge, and they're communist government. So a lot of the fear mongers would say that these Democrats will one day make it a communist situation.
I have a 3-pronged question with that. So you're concerned about that, but have you seen what Jared Kushner and both of the Trump sons are doing?
Yes, I'm very concerned.
You seen what Ivanka's doing in China? And okay, so that one thing that Biden's son is doing just overrides all of what those 4 kids are doing.
Not at all. Not at all.
So that's the one thing. So you know what the NSA is, right?
Remind me. You're talking about the right?
Well, I'm just no.
No, NSA.
Let me get back. So you mentioned the facial technology. if you go into any public place right now, and it's been this way for a long time. Anywhere that has cameras like that, and this is where I get into the conspiracy theories about people trying to get your facial recognition and get your information. If you have a phone, they already have it. And I say anyone who has technology, it's already done and happening. And what I tell people is I'm not worried about it because I'm not doing anything. But they already have technology with facial recognition. They already have your social security. They have your face. They have a driver's license. You have all this stuff to where the government has your information in a database. There's nothing more they can do with your information that should cause me to have any kind of consternation about what else can they do? They have everything that Jeff Coleman, my birth certificate is on file. They have my social, they have my facial recognition, they have my everything else. I'm on this Zoom call. They're plugged into this Zoom call right now. I look at my phone, they're plugged into it. What else could they possibly do to get my information?
I think it's always been about more control.
What else can you control? They have it all already. What else are they controlling?
So what do you mean? Like you don't care about them having, if they
you're on a Zoom call. They're plugged into this Zoom call right now. They have access to it, just so you know.
Mm-hmm. But I would say that's only one layer. So you put that alongside, maybe possibly it could be a fear-mongering thing, but taking away the guns. And then,
they're not taking away your guns. As
far as I don't know if they're
not taking away your guns, Jarnell.
Okay. Yeah, they're not taking away mine. I can tell you that.
No, they're not taking away anybody's guns. That's not a thing. That's not a real thing. There haven't been, like, I challenge people all the time to find a video, a quote, or anything to where any politician said the words, I want to take away all your guns, or look at any legislation that they proposed that the words in that bill said, I'm taking away all of your guns. Nobody can find it. It does not exist.
That's strong. And I hope that's the truth, because
it's out there for you. Like, don't take my word for it. Like, go out there and look for it. If you can find something to the contrary, drag me back in here and show it to me. But I always invite people, don't listen, because I come, just because I'm passionate and I say it with conviction doesn't mean I'm always right. Show me where I'm wrong, to where somebody said they were actually going to take away your guns.
I don't know. I mean,
but when you start to peel, you said there's one layer. When you start to peel that stuff away and all those things together that you gave me, it's like, oh shit, man, that sounds like something crazy. But when you sit them all together, like when you take them and sit them individually.
Well, I mean, that's what's happening in China right now. Literally. If we would have had this podcast in China, I guarantee you a day later, someone would be knocking on our shit, like,
because they're communists. They're not a democracy. That's
what I'm getting at. Like, I feel like we're taking small steps towards losing our control as human beings.
No, we're not. China is a communist country, and they've been that way for a long time. We're not. So, but if you want to blame somebody for that, look at what's going on with TikTok. How can a person of power, political power, say you have to sell it to somebody else? That's what you should be concerned and worried about, that they're making TikTok sell it to somebody in the US because of the reasons behind it. So if that's something to be upset about, you can be upset about that. But like,
yeah,
like, I don't understand the individual things when you look at them. Like, when you start to dig into them, they don't make a whole lot of sense.
I don't know, because then, I mean, we can go on and on about this. No, I don't want to do that, but I mean, this is like, we need to have a part 2 episode on another show. But for sure, I feel like there is a lot of weird things. Like, for instance, like NASA. I don't believe in flat Earth, but I'm not sold that the universe is like what it is. Like, seriously. And I believe that all fits into the.
But why though? And this is because I have this shirt that says, science doesn't care what you believe. So give me some science. And this is what I like. It doesn't care about science, doesn't care about Jeff Coleman's opinion. Yeah. So give me the science behind and what part of just saying you don't believe. Like, but again, remember, I question everything. But I dig into it. And if I question, I'm really fascinated with just space. And I'm fascinated with that. And I've read and I've done a lot of research about what's dying. And you can go, because we can't go see for ourselves. We kind of have to leave it up to and this is where it gets into the scientists are giving that information, not the politicians, not these talking heads. These are scientists who have dedicated their life to science and publishing things that are peer reviewed and have been scrutinized by 50 other people like them before you can publish this one thing. They're not going to let you put out some conspiracy, whatever BS. These are scientists. So
let me ask you
into that piece of it to answer some of the questions you have about.
Yeah, and we need Bobby to be able to pull up some data real time while we hear it on the next show. But let me ask you this. Do you believe that there is a conspiracy, let's say like the ultra rich people? Do you believe that there is a group
like the Illuminati or something like that?
Yeah. I don't think they're called the Illuminati. I think there's the Masonry group, and above them is, you have
there have been Masons since Masons have always been here, and Masons are still here. But do you know what a Mason is though?
Yeah.
Tell me your understanding of what a Mason is.
I mean, it's different Masons. I mean, it's different levels. I mean, I heard Shaq was a Mason. I'm like, I had to scratch my head. But
I know people, but see, that's people fear what they don't understand. Because when you say, "Oh, Shaq's a Mason," I know the person I know two people that's in Shaq's Mason Lodge. He's one of my friends is in the Mason Lodge that Shaq's in. He's not ultra rich. He's not this person pulling strings. They do things in the community. They do like volunteer work. It's all this stuff that they do of what a Mason, like I really, again, I encourage you to look and see what the Masonic temples are about, not what this thing people have labeled it as like, oh, you're a Mason, you're doing all this behind the scenes stuff. That's not what it is.
But I'm not talking about Shaq or your friend. The people I'm talking about are called the Anunnaki in the Bible. They have always had this. They have the Vatican in Rome. They have built through each and every empire, and now to this day, I mean, the latest situation. I mean, did you see what JFK said days before he died? That's one.
What are you talking about?
Coming up from like the days of the beginning, and now to this day, it seems as if they're closer than ever on fulfilling their quest to control.
Wait a minute, hold up. They who and what quest are we talking about? You lost me a little bit.
The modern day is like they're the Masons. They take different form, but they're
the Masons in the Vatican. The Masons in the Vatican don't have anything to do with each other. Those are two different things.
But I'm saying the Vatican they used to, it all used to be. It came from the Rome. Then before Rome, it was, Greece. I'm talking all the way back to Julius Caesar days. These are the same group. I'm not talking about the names. The group of people from that day, from what I read in the Bible, Julius Caesar was behind the people who killed Jesus Christ. His group of people. That you may not have saw it that way, but that's I read this a lot. I don't hear any of this stuff that I preach in church.
What was the Roman Empire? It was the people of Rome that killed. Yeah, that was. I mean, that's
he's behind it. But yeah, so my whole point is that group of people that was against Christ are the same group who are silently causing confusion and on this world order.
I'm going to call BS on that.
I mean, we all call BS on each other, but I mean, it's all about what you buy, and I just don't buy easily. I dig deeper.
I think you bought that. So give me the line. Where did you get that information? This is the other thing I ask people. Like always, what's your source? Where do you get that from?
What?
Where'd you that story? The story that you just told me. Where did you get that information from?
You want me to pull up Bible verses?
No. Just give me the story about the not the Bible verse. The part where you get the story about the Julius Caesar, and the same people that did that are pulling strings right now. Where did you get that story from?
I mean, it's history. We can.
No. Where did you get it from?
It's not just one. It's literally came out the mouth.
Where? Like, what's the source of where you got that from?
One source is the Bible. So we both know the verses, and we can pull.
So the Bible told you that this is going on right now. I'm asking. Let me clarify my question. I'm taking that you got this from a couple different things. You saw like what happened to Jesus. than what was going on through history with the Vatican and other things, and that it's still here right now. Where did you get that information from?
That is still here right now.
Yeah.
I see it now.
Where?
I've, I mean, how don't you see it? Look at our government. Look at
No,
what
I'm just that specific. Like where? Like what are you saying that is the connection?
colonials, all the colonialization that's going on across the world.
They've been colonial. They've been colonizing the world since the beginning of the world.
I'm talking about this specific. What do you mean they've been colonizing, but not one group?
That's what people do. They've colonized the world. That's like they've been doing that forever.
But America is in every freaking country with their own base. I don't know. I'm just saying, but it fulfills certain things. We can go on and on here, but what I'm saying, I mean, we can go into the Council of Nicaea, which happened back in Rome. I mean, I wish, we had people behind the scenes to pull this stuff up. But all I'm saying is they were able to take parts of the Bible out and they switched it and they caused a huge amount of confusion there.
There's the King James. When you have versions of what's supposed to be the ultimate word, that should tell you things right there. There's different versions, the King James, the first, the second. Why would you have to update the word that's supposed to be?
People are in control. That's what I'm saying. They updating it the wrong way. They shouldn't be updating it.
I
the wrong people.
I disagree with that, but I'll digress on that.
I love talking to you, Jeff. Seriously though, like more brothers need to have conversations like this. Like you find, like it was certain questions you asked me that was just like, oh, people haven't asked me that. So now I really have to dig deep and make sure like I'm not bullshitting. So
that's the good thing about civil discourse, man, and having good conversations. And I'm glad you picked up on that. When I give you questions like that, it's not to poke hole, it's to further the conversation and to hopefully get a better understanding of it. That's always my intent. It's not to make anybody try to like, aha, I got you. It's never that. It's to try to further our conversation and get a better understanding of what we're talking about.
Yeah, most definitely, man. We definitely got to have a part 2 show. I love having you on, Jeff, man. Where have you been all my life, bro?
Hey man, I'm right here, man. Anytime you want to chop it up, like you sending me back. I got my pen. I've been taking notes right here. There's some stuff that I need to go back and look up too. So yeah, okay. you did for me. There's some seeds planted that I need to look into a little bit more. Circle back on my original take for it and just make sure I'm up to speed. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. And let's definitely have a part 2 next Saturday. Do we have any comments on the YouTube section? I didn't even check, man. We've been so deep.
I didn't even look at it, man. I'm sure somebody said something, but yeah,
for sure. But we'll definitely get to the comments at another time. We went well past the time for the show.
Let's look at it. We'll check some of the comments, and when we circle back, we'll bring up some of those. Address some of the questions or comments that they had.
Most definitely. Well, all right, you guys. Appreciate the listeners joining in. Appreciate Jeff being on the show. Jeff probably be a lifetime member of the show. I mean, even before we talk, I mean, it's just good to have a different perspective. I could be wrong. We all know that we could.
It's not about right or wrong, brother. It's this conversation. Don't put that on yourself, man. It's not about one of us being right or wrong. We're having some dialogue and discussion. So let's leave it at that.
More people need to think. Like I could be wrong. So let's find proof. Let's find out the truth together.
All right, cool.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming on Vol Roll Show, and we are on sometimes on Thursday, but every Saturday morning we will be here at 12 noon Eastern time. All right. Have a blessed weekend, you guys.